mothers come to knowledge different ways. They know different things, and all that information becomes their signature.
A celebration of mothers.
As mothers.
Next on Black Nouveau. Hi, I'm Milton Dockery.
And I'm Faithe. Welcome to Black Nouveau. On this edition, we'll introduce you to a new dramatic group whose first production celebrates mothers.
We'll talk with author James McBride and hear about a new partnership working to increase minority participation in engineering, science, and technology.
But first, the art of Wanakee Pugh. For more than 20 years, she was a cover model for many of the country's top fashion magazines, including Vogue and Essence. Today, however, she's thriving in a new career as an artist. Brady Street, known on Milwaukee's east side for all walks of life, is home to Art by Design. A self-taught artist, Wanakee Pugh, the gallery owner, creates with ease poetic and stunning three-dimensional art that commands top dollar. When did you decide to pursue a dream in painting full force?
I just decided in October because I was working for a builder and I was selling new construction, and the market is not so great, so the builder went out of business, and everybody that came in and saw the paintings, if they went to email and saw them, they'd say, "What are you doing? What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" I'd hear that all the time. So when they went out of business, I decided, okay, 52, how many more years do I have left? Let me do this now. So I decided to do it, just because it was more like, isn't it time for me to do something that I really enjoy, that makes me relaxed and that is creative and fun, and you know, there's this mystery about how's it going to look in the end, you know, it's that putting it together until it's right, but you really don't know what you're doing until you're done. So I just decided to do it. And I found this little shop on Brady Street, and the landlord is very nice, and just everything, when I made that decision, everything worked. And that's when I knew I made the right decision, so.
Formal training, let's talk about that. Have you had any?
No.
Okay. And that's really amazing because your pieces are absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
And so how do you get your insight? I mean, are you telling me that you studied the experts and you created your own style and you just went for it? Yeah,
I imitated what was already done. The artists that do these paintings, they're the ones who are brilliant. I'm just the imitator. When I was in New York, you know, I used to go to the museums. I did not like modern art, contemporary art at all, and but I used to go to the museums, and there was a show. Hudson River School artists had a show at the Metropolitan Museum and in Manhattan, and I remember it was a Tuesday afternoon and it was raining outside, and in the museum they have these great long benches and you have to sit far away because the pictures are huge. And I looked at these landscapes and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to even express how beautiful they were, so I just sat there and just cried in the middle of the museum by myself on a rainy Tuesday. And I thought, you know what? And I used to go and look at the paintings, and I used to say, okay, this is shapes, highlights, shadow, lines, and color. And that's all it is. That's how I saw it anyway. And so I said, I bet I could do that. And I remember like leaning into the paintings, and I remember one day the security guard pulled me back and said, you're going to set off the alarms. But that's when I could see close up without glasses. And I would just shapes, shadows, highlight, color. That's all it is, and lines. So one day I just said, okay, for my birthday I'm going to go get some paint, and I'm going to try. I'm going to buy a little canvas, and if it doesn't work, nobody will know. I'll throw it away. And I painted this, you know, a study of Asher Durand was the artist. He was one of the Hudson River School artists, and except for leaving out the cows, there were cows in the painting, it almost looked just like his painting, and I was just shocked. And so, because I remember asking people, should I try it? what should I do? Should I get oil? They're like, oh, don't do it. It's messy, it's stinky, you need space, you're not gonna like it, it's too hard. And then the last person I asked said, Key, go for it, just go for it. Get the primary colors, you can mix every color, go for it. So she was in my ear when I went to the store, and then it just evolved from there. So I started with the studies, and then I kind of branched off into, you know, portraiture, and you know, you evolve, and then pretty soon you find your own style. Although my niche is the diversity. That is my niche. I love to do diverse paintings. Some people say you should get a signature style, but I have a hard time doing that, just like I have a hard time wearing the same style of shoes. And I'm into decor. Although I'll do art for art's sake, I also am very conscious of a person's space, because to me, art makes the space. So some people are interested in enhancing their decor, and some people are interested just purely in the art. And I'm happy to do either one, because it's just all, I think just all forms of art are really beautiful.
What does the art world say about your work? I mean, you've said you're not formally trained.
I don't know what the art world says about my work, because I really am not, I didn't get into it through the art world. The art world would not respond back to me. That's why I decided to open my own shop, because I would submit my work, but nobody would respond. So I thought, well, I still do have to keep painting, so I'll just respond to myself.
Since we first aired this profile, Wanakee has moved her gallery to Racine. She can be reached at wanakeepugh.com.
Recently, the National Action Council for Minorities in Engineering, or NACME, announced a partnership with MPS designed to recruit more minority students into the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM for short. I spoke with Dr. Irvin McPhail, the president of NACME, about the partnership.
NACME is now partnering with the Milwaukee Public Schools to provide scholarship support for students, professional development funding for teachers, and engineering awareness materials for parents, teachers, and counselors, all designed to work with the existing network of 21 Project Lead the Way schools in Milwaukee, and to provide an opportunity for larger numbers of underrepresented minority students to become energized around the possibilities of STEM careers.
What kind of support will your organization be providing, and why is such necessary?
We will be providing, first of all, a portfolio of materials that are engineering awareness materials that are directed at parents, at students, at teachers, at guidance counselors, designed to increase the awareness of engineering as a career choice, the academic requirements for becoming an engineer, the joy of innovation and discovery, a set of materials that we've developed really designed to turn kids on to STEM. In addition to that, we'll be providing professional development funding for teachers in our urban initiative schools, so that they will have additional resources with which to design projects, out-of-school activities for students. We also will be providing scholarships directly to students to assist their transition from the urban initiative schools to one or more engineering schools across the nation.
Dr. McPhail, why Milwaukee?
Well, Milwaukee really emerged in our work at NACME, and in specifically in my relationships with leadership here in the Milwaukee Public Schools, as a logical place for us to initiate this work. Milwaukee has taken a very serious, a very consistent, and a very comprehensive approach to the challenge of involving all children and young people in STEM education. Very consistent with the vision of NACME, which is an engineering workforce that looks like America. When one looks at the demographic characteristics of Milwaukee and then looks at the pressing need for America to develop a more diverse engineering workforce, the synergies between the efforts and the philosophy and the value system in Milwaukee and similar characteristics with NACME just stood out to us as a natural. We're starting with grades 6 through 8 because our middle school pathway is significant and important. We need to be able to move young people into engineering, to light that fire, to ignite that enthusiasm as early as possible. NACME chooses to focus at the middle school level as our starting point, because based on research from National Science Foundation and other sources, we know that this is the point at which young people are beginning to make very significant career choices, beginning to determine courses and other experiences that they now need to begin to have if, in fact, they're going to be able to pursue a number of avenues. We want to start in middle school to excite that interest in engineering and in STEM.
How do we stand as a nation in preparing our children for science, technology, engineering, and math challenges of the future?
This represents a major conundrum for America. In fact, at NACME, we have dubbed the situation the new American dilemma. We are not producing enough young people at any level to really guide and lead the science and technology infrastructure of this nation. When one looks at the participation rates of underrepresented minority young people moving into engineering, the numbers are alarming. Our latest analysis of the data suggests that less than 11% of bachelor's degrees in engineering are being earned by African American, American Indian, or Latino students, at the same time that those populations represent 34% of the 18 to 24-year-old college-age cohort in America. There is a huge variance between the participation rates in higher education, the demographic changes that are taking place in the American population, and the presence of underrepresented minorities in engineering. We're really talking here about American competitiveness and U.S. capability. We're not talking about efforts to do things because they're right or good, although they are intuitively right and good. But we're really talking about a major, major challenge facing us as a nation and ultimately impacting the American quality of life. So these efforts are designed to maintain America's competitiveness and to ensure that America remains a preeminent player in this flat world in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
What do we need to do to bridge the gap between white and black student achievement here in Milwaukee?
Well, again, I think we need to focus on providing the kinds of intervention services. We need to focus on pedagogy. My background is in literacy education, and we know that there are many things that need to be done in terms of best and promising practices, for example, in teaching literacy skills to African American children and youth that rarely emerge in most of the intervention practices in urban schools. So we need to really look at the research. We need to specifically look at the research that defines best practice, successful models, implement those models, and of course we need to do as much as we can after we have moved our young people to basic and advanced levels of literacy to make certain that we're providing science and math and STEM education necessary to take them to the next level in terms of preparing for college and university.
The Milwaukee Multicultural Theatre is one of the newest additions to the cultural scene here in Milwaukee. Their first production, M, a collection of mothers, premiered during the fall and will be presented again next spring.
Kiss whimsy into my palms. Blow raspberry giggles across the ripples of yummy pudge. Skip lightly to the banter of our glee music. Got sparkly magic in the tips of my fingers. Chime bliss from thin air. Kind of fly with this mama thing. Peel back, edges curled, rotten with the resilient terror. Spores of future failings collect in the creases where convention and confidence fold in on themselves. Upload my best guesswork as gumption and trust the composition. Kinda fly with this mama thing. Author these moments in my own native tongue. Roll hard consonants, lilt delicate vowels, refuse gullah patois sanctimony. Grant permission unto myself for the translation. Grant permission unto myself for the translation. Kinda fly with this mama thing. Relieve myself of this cloak, once buttoned all the way up to my chin, bearing all of my misshapen wonder, being the onlyest good mother I know how to be, celebrating with no pedestals in sight, certified only by the murmur of slumbering angels, by the tight cinch around my waist, by the vast universe still blinking brightly inside of their eyes. Kind of fly with this mama thing. The onlyest good mother I know how to be. The onlyest good mother I know how to be. That's all you can ask of a mother, to give the best that she knows how. And mothers come to knowledge different ways. They know different things, and all that information becomes their signature. And their signature as mothers becomes a legacy. And that legacy becomes destiny. Welcome to a collection of mothers.
Multicultural theater is a vision, it's an idea. And the idea behind it is to produce productions that are all inclusive, no matter what your socioeconomic background is, no matter what your race is, your gender, your sexual preference. We're producing productions that speak to and directly reflect the communities of Milwaukee. What we are aiming to do is to create a greater sense of community and cultural harmony in the city using the performing arts. So the shows that we will put on are all original, stories that directly reflect the communities we live in, and they're also stories that are tales that are being untold right now as far as other theater outlets in this city.
Mama, you're always on my mind. We return to that once upon a time.
The full title of M is M, A Collection of Mothers. And the story is a series of vignettes based on different types of mothers. In fact, there's one mother who's actually a father who's taken on the role of being the primary caregiver with his daughter.
Man, who'd have thought I'd be standing here waiting for you? Well, what am I talking about? Of course I'd be waiting for you. I've been waiting for you for 26 years. 27 including conception. I never thought you'd get here. Your mother was so indifferent about your birth. She kept saying, it'll get here when it gets here. I never knew why she kept calling you it. And then on the night you were born, I watched your mother pack her bags. I was terrified she was going to leave, and I'd never get to see what you looked like. See your face or know the color of your eyes. And I asked God one more time, please, God, don't let her take my joy. And just like that, her water broke. I don't have any children myself. I have no daughters, no sons, no family myself, so I really had to draw from the experience of someone who nurtured a loving person for years and years and years and finally had to see them go off and be with someone else. So I just drew from the experience of loving someone for many years and what that would be like to finally have to say goodbye to them as if you gave them away to another in marriage. I want you to know that I will always be here for you. Wherever, whenever you need me. Just remember, you will always be my joy.
Thanks, Dad. I love you too. Mama, we see your smiling face, stirring the food we still can taste. Mama.
I wrote M. It started out as poems and short stories, and it started out as from a gift that I got from my sons for Mother's Day. I was writing poetry, and every year they give me a different notebook for me to write in. that particular year, they also gave me a book of different mothers, poems of mothers. And the mothers were all beautiful and perfect. And they didn't reflect me as a mom, because sometimes I'm not so perfect. And so as I started to think about these different pieces, I started to write about myself and about other mothers who aren't so perfect.
Listening to your parents is what every child needs to learn. When they tell you not to do something, usually it's for your own good. I learned early to fear you, as every child should fear and respect their mother. I lay before you, face crushed and sunken, my eyes still fixed upon you. Releasing you of any wrong is my duty. My love is unconditional.
Now it's a reflection, I think, of community. Mothers are the foundation, I feel, and it's for the community to be healed, mothers have to be strong and have the ability to nurture. And so I feel like the community is in need of nurturing at this point, healing. And I wanted to bring forth the different ailments within our community, such as abuse, loneliness, single parenthood. So that's what M is a reflection of.
The one pain that does not ease in death is that of a mother leaving her child behind.
When I first read the lines to my son, he heard the first line and was like, okay, I don't think I can go see this play. You know, because it's painful. You know, it's about mother leaving a child and, you know, doing so through death.
As mothers, we only want what's best for our children. That's it. So our job is to prepare them for this world and pray that nothing by our hands will harm them or hinder them while they're on this plane. We expound on them the virtues of good living. And after all of that teaching, all that knowledge, all of that nurturing, each child, they choose what they'll do with that information. Those choices become their destiny.
We'll have more from the Milwaukee Multicultural Theatre in upcoming programs.
But right now, we'll hear from author James McBride. Margot Spann has that story.
On a gray morning in March 1850, a colored slave named Liz Spocott dreamed of the future.
Packed in the corner of this bookstore, a crowd is listening to best-selling author James McBride read an excerpt of his latest book, Song Yet Sung.
Liz had this dream in captivity, just as the flickering light of her own life was disappearing. And when she awoke from it, realized with a gasp that it was some kind of apparition, and she had to find its true meaning in this world before she died.
Song Yet Sung is McBride's third book and describes the adventures of a female runaway slave. The title character, Liz, treads through the swamps of Maryland to avoid being apprehended by several slave catchers.
She had taken a musket ball to the head at Ewell's Creek, just west of Newmarket. It was 5 a.m. when she was hit, running full stride on a brisk March morning behind 3 other slave women who had made a desperate dash for freedom.
McBride says he spent a year and a half doing research and describes the tone of this book as different from the others.
The characters talk differently. The use of their language is different. People in 1850 didn't talk the same way that they did in 1941, and they didn't talk the same way they did in 1960 and 1970 when I was growing up. So the language that they use, the dialogue is different. Even the effect of the dialogue. In Song Yet Sung, there are no quotation marks. It's all just dash, and then, so there's this dash and then the dialogue. You know, every dialogue is preceded by a dash. And that just gives the book a certain tonality of, you know, it just gives it a kind of resonance, I think, that the other two don't have.
McBride has written for many publications, including The Washington Post and People magazine. He is best known for his New York Times best-selling memoir, The Color of Water.
Sometimes you just happen to be standing in the room when God coughs, you know, and you're the one with a handkerchief, you know. It certainly wasn't meant to, I didn't write it to make it into I had no idea that it would become a literary classic. And if I had known that many people were going to read the book, I swear to God, I'd written a better book.
His second book, A Miracle at St. Anna, has been turned into a movie.
When people read Miracle at St. Anna, they can rest assured that the movie is different because I wrote the screenplay too. So if they like the movie better than the book, I'm happy. If they like the book better than the movie, I'm happy.
Miracle at St. Anna is the story of 4 soldiers who are members of the all-black 92nd Buffalo Soldier Division of the U.S. Army. The unit was stationed in Tuscany, Italy during World War II. McBride says their story has not been told, and he is pleased that director Spike Lee is bringing it to the big screen.
He deserves all the credit for doing it. I did nothing but write the book. Spike raised the money. He walked me through writing the script. When I wrote the script, I wrote the script with him kind of going through it, kind of guiding it along. He introduced a couple of new characters. He willed this movie into fruition, and it's going to be, really, it's going to be quite a movie.
Some of the soldiers are trapped behind enemy lines and separated from their unit after one of them risked their life to save an Italian boy. McBride says he's very pleased with the film.
I think that it certainly will open up Miracle at St. Anna to a new audience, particularly young black readers. Because a lot of too many young black, I won't say a lot, but too many don't read books at all. So I think in general movies open your books up to to readers of all types.
And that wraps up this edition of Black Nouveau.
Remember, in the coming week, do something to expand your world. Good night.
Good night.